And that's our show for today.
"24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
Connotes the art of photography. Most photographic works show aesthetic qualities. Some create an illusion, while some abstract photos may paint a deeper meaning from the ordinary. All this depicts the creativity of this artistry. In the early decades of the 19th century, photography captured more detail and information than the traditional methods of replication, like painting and sculpture. Today, photography still remains a unique art form that demands creative thinking from the photographer. We all love taking pictures, but there's a whole lot that goes into making our pictures look flawless. In this artistry, every detail counts.
I usually like to start with one light and then improve my lighting style up to the point when I get the kind of picture I want to shoot. So I'll start with this. This is always called the main light, and I'm going to start with the main light on camera right. Okay, fine. So the next thing I need to do now is to position her. I like to sit down, look towards this light. You can put 1 foot up, 1 foot down, make yourself relax. Come to the edge of the stool. Good. Fine. Are you relaxed enough? All right, so just smile, and let's see how this goes. Fantastic. So with every shot I take, I begin to readjust my camera till I achieve what I want to see. So right now, there's too much lighting coming on her face, so I'm going to have to work on my lighting style and try it again. And well, it looks much better this time around. This is one light setup. And when I took the first light, there was so much light, I had to adjust my settings. And she looks more like this now.
New technological trends in digital photography have opened a new direction in full-spectrum photography, where careful filtering choices across the ultraviolet lead to new artistic visions. This art entails careful staging and lighting of the picture.
I'm going to make it very simple, so I'm going to just add one more light, and then I'm done. This light I'm adding is called a hair light or a rim light. It allows the picture to have a form, and so I can see her in a beautiful place. Beautiful. You see the picture has changed again. You notice there's a rim light now that has created a form. When you look at the first one, it was bare. And the second one has some form of rim between it. And then from here, we go into post-production and print. This is the picture And it comes in two formats. It comes as a JPEG, which is a camera processed option, and it comes as a RAW version, which is the original version with the camera shot the picture. So I'm going to edit this in RAW right now. So I start with this. Good, so the picture is out now, and I start to work on it. Luckily, she has a very fresh face, which is an advantage. So I may not do as much. I just have to work on the color of her dress, her lips, make her hair look beautiful. I'm going to paint her up in lights and shadows now. I'm putting a bit of darkness to her face.
The stages of photograph has evolved over the years. In amateur processing, the film is removed from the camera and wound onto a reel in a dark room. But technology has taken a new dimension in this artistry.
Technology has overtaken all of that now. Makes it easier for a lot of people, makes it more accessible for a lot of people. Back in the days, they had a few labs that did darkroom cleaning, washing as it was known in the day. But today we have a download, edit, upload, and print very, very quickly. And then you can see how far we have gone in the last few minutes. So this is the original picture. And then this is the Photoshop picture. The colors have changed. She had a red look initially. Now it's looking more like her skin tone. The dress is bluer, which is making more. And then you see her hairline. I've defined her hairline more. And then you see the little imperfections we had initially have been removed to give us a, so to speak, final finish. We're good to print. I'm doing the image right now, and I'm going to send to this little printer here, which does my emergency prints. Beautiful, and she's ready to go.
After so much skill and time spent, the end result is indeed worth it. Or what do you think?
NTA News. When the news breaks, we mend it and present it without blemish. NTA News, authentic and authoritative.
The skin is the largest human organ, and every year, billions of naira are spent on skincare routines. Today on Window on Abuja, we're going to be looking at things that are made in and around Abuja for your skincare. I am Memuna Ummi Ibrahim. This is still Window on Abuja, and if you're just joining us, you haven't missed much. We're here in Piri, one of the villages around the FCT, and we're going to meet some women who are going to teach us how to make local black soap. But before then, I have an interview with the Eitsu of Piri.
A cikin tarihin Piri, Piri ya fara.
Piri history. Piri migrated from Zaria. Suboyi and Shazi left Zaria together. They came to Kwali. Suboyi stayed in Kwali, but Shazi came here. They were hunters and he lived here. This area was called Shakifi. Then they decided to carve out an area and establish a settlement with his younger brother. Now there is a cat-like animal called Piri by the Bagi people. Now decided to name it Piri as that was what they first killed.
Sunan shi ya zama Piri kenan fa.
There are many tribes in Piri: Ganagana, Basa, Gwari, Yoruba, Gwandara, and many more that I don't know. We live peacefully with one another. We are farmers, including the settlers. The educated ones teach. We farm yam, guinea corn, maize, millet, sesame seed, and rice. When the soap making began, the white people came and told us the importance of hygiene. Then they decided to teach us how and what we needed to make soap. From then, our women continued the soap making.
We're still here in Piri, and we've just finished speaking to the Etu, and we found out a little bit about the town and its people. Right now I'm here with the women who are going to teach me how to make black soap from scratch. They measure out the palm kernel oil, which they purchase from a neighboring village. They then add ash water, also known as toka, in equal parts. Then it is put on fire. While we wait, I decided to have a conversation with the women using an interpreter. I don't know how long she has been doing this, how profitable it is. And do people come here to buy, or do they take it out of Piri?
Right. Okay. She has been doing it for about 20 years ago. Okay, she has been taking it to market to sell.
Okay, so how profitable is it? Is it very profitable? Can she support her family through it?
Okay, okay, that since she has started the business, she has been using the money, the profit to buy Maggie, support her children for school. Okay. And one of her child has finished from the federal college.
Okay, that's very good.
She still have others there.
So does she think that the next generation of the young ones in Piri can carry on with this tradition?
Okay. That is, even if she's no more, the young generation will take over from her. She has been teaching the younger ones.
This job is not easy. Have you been doing it for a long time, and how many years have you been doing this for?
I have been making soap for the past 6 years.
Where do you get your ingredients from?
We get the ash powder from the firewood that we burn. We put it in a bucket of water and then we strain it. Then we boil it.
What about the palm kernel oil? Where do you get it from?
We get the palm kernel oil from a neighboring village.
So now that you've been doing this for a while, do you make a lot of money? And what do you do with the money?
I give my children to take to school. I also buy food items, and sometimes I buy wrappers to look good.
Do you have anybody you're teaching?
Yes, I have 2 children and I'm teaching them how to make soap.
Once the mixture comes to a boil, they begin to stir. I've adjusted the fire and I'm telling you, the smoke in my eye is not easy at all. I'm sure everybody is laughing at me right now. Once it comes down, they stop stirring. One interesting aspect of the Bagi culture is how they carry things on their shoulders. Okay. I just came across a new friend. She's on her way to fetch water at the stream, and she's going to use the broom-looking thing to stop the water from flowing down her body. You learn something new every day. Earlier in the month, we were told that we couldn't come because there was a death in the village. Therefore, we were curious about the myth and practices that surround it.
When someone dies, it doesn't work.
Do you know why this happens?
It is the will of God. Or if you sleep with your husband, the soap won't come together. Or if you fight with someone, it won't come together because this process doesn't like negative energy.
The mixture then thickens, and then when it is just right, the ash water is added. But it's like a science project, really. The more she adds, the more it comes up. I'm thinking that's why there's this circular thing around here. You can actually smell the black soap now. You can literally smell it. Sometimes there is a difference in color regarding the soap mixture, and this is due to the different types of ash used. After it rises, they start to scoop it out into molds, which are then sold for 100 naira a piece. Now, it is time to try the soap. It lathers very, very well. And it actually doesn't have a funny smell. It doesn't smell funny at all. It's very natural, all very natural. This is good work. I am back from Piri, and whew, what a morning I've had. But I had to change because of all the hard work, the smoke, and all that sweating. Truly, it was a truly wonderful experience for me. Well, now I have a feature for you on skincare, and I spoke with a dermatologist called Dr. Hilda, who is going to share 1 or 2 important tips with us.
Your skin is the largest organ of the body and the most delicate. The skin can be improved by taking proper care of it every day. There are many ways we can improve our skin by applying the right cream on the skin, examining the skin, and try to determine if your skin is normal, oily, dry, or a combination of dry and oily. How important is our skin to us humans?
People just assume that the skin is, just for cosmetic purposes, but it does much more than that. It has an immune function. It serves as a mechanical barrier to infection, to external insults. So it helps to keep bacteria, fungi, viruses, and things like that out of the body. It also serves to regulate temperature. So when the temperature is excessively cold, your skin can help to warm you up. When it's excessively hot, it can help to cool you down. Those are some of the other things that the skin does apart from cosmesis. So it's an organ to take seriously.
The skincare industry is worth $39 million in 2018. Every year, people seek to improve their skincare routine. These days, natural skincare is becoming the norm as it is believed to be earth-friendly, less irritation, natural fragrance, and overall effectiveness. But the doctor warns about the dangers of self-medicating.
People don't perceive the skin, things they apply on the skin, to be medicine. They are more free to trying out things, trying out things their friends have used, their family have used. We need to know that what we apply on our skin, a lot of the time gets absorbed into our bloodstream. That's one. Then apart from every drug being a potential poison, things that worked for this person might be terrible for you. If, for example, you have oilier skin, you have this friend that has slightly drier skin, she's using coconut oil on her skin, coconut oil is doing great, you apply same coconut oil on your skin that's probably acne prone, for most people, they would break out like crazy because coconut oil is comedogenic. It has potential to block your pores. So we like that. We're thankful that there's a lot of resources online, but you have to also do a lot of sieving and be discerning. If you have skincare problems, find a specialist and present to the specialist, rather than doing trial and error. A lot of problems we see at the clinic are mostly man-made. You have the small issue, you're trying to fix it, you turn it into a bigger issue.
How do we properly take care of our skin?
Wash your skin with a mild cleanser, a mild cleansing agent. Moisturize, then use sun protection. We have to always explain why people, because yes, inherently we have some sun protecting factor. We have an SPF of about 15 for our type of colored skin. This Fitzpatrick skin type 6. But what happens is, as we're getting older, the effects of the UV rays manifest as discoloration. We end up looking patchier. So to minimize that and minimize darkening, we typically ask that, inform our patients that they need to use some sun protection. Just, minimum SPF 30, once a day is fine, in the mornings before you step out into the sun. And that helps to keep your skin even for long.
If you've ever had your body waxed, I'm sure you're going to agree with me that that process is truly painful. But then what is pleasure without the pain? Now, Leila is going to put us through the process of sugar waxing and body exfoliation. You're welcome to the program, Leila.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Leila, let's start with the first process, obviously, which you said is the sugar scrub, yeah?
Yes, that's
the sugar
sugaring.
treatment.
Yes.
So how do you do that?
Okay. Sugaring, or otherwise known as halawa,
Yes.
it's an Asian treatment known by the Egyptians, the Middle East, and so many of the other Arab traits there. So sugaring is a process of taking hair and dead skin cells off the first layer of your skin. The sugar just lays down on your skin, and then when you take it off, you see the hair follicles and the dead skin comes on it just like magic, but it's not magic. The process is done neatly, nicely, and it's an immediate effect. So you see, the technique is you have to know the position and direction of the hair growth. Then you place it opposite the hair growth and you pull.
Okay.
If you don't get it right, it usually leads to a bad waxing.
Okay. So how often do you encourage women to wax?
Once a month is fine. So this doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt at all.
Especially this side is a lot milder than the other side. But I'm sure some parts of the body hurt more than others.
Yes, some parts of the body, they hurt more because they are more sensitive.
Yes.
And for women, we advise they don't have waxing done during their periods. Because during your menstrual cycle, your body is more sensitive. Without touching, you can actually see the difference between this waxed hand and this that has not been waxed yet. So the hair follicles here are still there. The dead skin cells here are gone. After this, we're going to have the exfoliating part. If you have a sensitive skin, I would prefer you go for the aloe vera gel.
Okay.
But if your skin is not sensitive, baobab is loaded with tons of vitamin C. And while we're exfoliating this, it smoothens where we've just waxed, and then it helps with the regrowth of the hair. You don't have inbuilt hair growth.
Okay.
Yes, that is why exfoliation is really good. It's really good. This needs to be done 3 to 4 times a week.
So how long do you leave it on for?
No, once you're done scrubbing, 5-10 minutes, you just wash it off. That's it. You're done. So you exfoliate in a circular motion.
Okay. So are there any rules that you have to follow after you've had like a full body wax?
Yes, there are rules. 1, after waxing, full body wax, you're not supposed to wear any tight clothing because your skin needs to breathe. It has gone through a process that it needs to be relaxed.
Okay.
So no wearing of anything tight. You just need to wear free-flowing gowns. And your shower, you don't need hot water. The pores are clean and you just need mild, lukewarm water. Then for the exfoliating part, you need to exfoliate a lot so you don't have ingrown hairs after waxing. And this prepares you for your next session.
Oh, my skin feels utterly amazing. I hope this will encourage other women out there to try it.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. So we've been speaking with Leila at Leila Spa, and she has put us through the process of sugaring, waxing, aka halawa, and also skin exfoliating. I hope this will encourage all of you. And now stay tuned. I have some 2 wonderful ladies who are going to show me their DIY projects on skincare. I am here with Zainab Momo, who is going to show us how to make the most out of our black soap. You're welcome to the program, Zainab.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me, why black soap?
Well, most people use black soap these days because it's more affordable, and then it's something you can do at your leisure time. You can just mix it and then use it for a long period, depending on how you bathe regularly.
Yeah, actually, black soap, this is something that our grandparents, our great-grandparents, everybody has used it. I mean, now we've funkified it, but it's nothing new, basically. I mean, babies use it all the time as well.
Yeah.
So tell us, what is the process? If I have other ingredients apart from these, can I use them in my black soap as well?
Of course, whatever is good for your skin, you can mix it. So you just break this so you can, then you have your aloe vera. You add your honey, so you have your avocado oil too. Some people use lemon oil too, or coconut oil, depending on
any
what
essential
you want
oil that you have, anything that is naturally made, basically.
Exactly, you can just add it. Then your turmeric powder.
This is something that gives kind of like a glow.
Yeah. And sometimes people add lemon.
Oh, okay.
It brightens the skin.
Are there specific measurements for it, or you can just eyeball it?
You can eyeball it at the same time, but you might not want some ingredients to be more than.
Okay.
Then some people, depending on how you like it, some like it like really, really watery.
Yes.
While some it can just be hard because it foams quickly.
Yes.
So then, like I said, if it's too thick, you just add a little water.
So you add the water to the thickness or thinness that you want?
Yes.
Okay. So how long will this last for?
It can last for a month.
What if you bathe twice a day?
It can, because you just need like a little amount. When this is done, you can add it into your container, or if you have a bottle, anything you have to just store your black soap.
We're about to start our second DIY project, and Zainab Abdullahi Yarima is here to put us through the process. You're welcome to the program, Zainab.
Thank you.
So Zainab, everything here is edible, right?
Yes.
So you have 3 different face masks as well as whipped shea butter to show us how to make. Okay, so what are the 3 different face masks here?
Okay, the first one is cinnamon and honey. I'm just going to mix it together.
Okay.
Cinnamon is very good for the skin because it has a lot of antioxidants in it.
Okay.
So once you apply it on your skin, you leave it for like 30 minutes to 1 hour, then you wash it off. But there's another important information about cinnamon. If your skin is very sensitive, I won't advise you to use cinnamon on your skin because it's going to burn and you might actually have injuries on your face. And once you apply it on your face and it starts to burn you or it starts to stink, please wash it off immediately. Do not leave it on your face. The second one is honey and coffee. A lot of people think coffee is just for drinking, but they don't know that it has a lot of antioxidants in it as well, in the caffeine. That's like the most important part of the coffee because that's where all the nutrients for the skin is in. So once you apply it on your skin, you just leave it for like 10 to 15 minutes and wash it off.
And this is just regular coffee that is sold?
That's another thing I was going to talk about. There are 2 types of coffee. We have the conventional coffee and organic coffee. Conventional coffee is the normal coffee that we drink every day. You can use it for your skin here, but the thing is that it has a lot of chemicals in it, like through the processing. So it's advisable to use organic coffee, which is the coffee beans that you just have to blend your own self. So that's better on your face because it doesn't have any chemicals in it at all. So that's the best thing you can use for your skin. This is the avocado mask. We have yogurt, we have honey and turmeric. Avocado is like one of the best natural things you can use for your skin and even for your health because it has a lot of antioxidants in it like vitamin C, vitamin E, polyhydroxylated alcohol, and also glutathione. It's advisable to apply it on your face and your neck and let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes. By the time you see that it's starting to look like a peel-off mask, you know that it's dry and you just wash it off. Don't peel it off, please. Just wash it off. I'm going to be using 1 spoon of avocado and carrot, adding almond oil, to the mixture. You can use normal almond oil or sweet almond oil, but this is normal almond oil. And you can also add any essential oil you want. Basically, you can also add castor oil. You can add black castor oil, and you can add olive oil. I'm just going to mix and keep mixing. You can actually just keep mixing it till you're satisfied, because this is for you, it's not for any other person. So you have to be happy with what you're doing. If you feel like, okay, you are tired of mixing this thing, you feel like it's okay, then you're good to go. Just turn it in whatever plastic you want to turn it into. So Vicky, how do you feel?
Fresh.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
So are you going to try this at home?
Yeah, sure, I will. Well, we've definitely learned a little more about how to take care of our skin on a budget. But please know that before you try any of these DIY projects, know what skin type you have. I would like to share some tips with you on how to take better care of your skin. I know over the years we all have tips that were shared with us. I have drink up to 8 cups of water and make sure you exfoliate your skin every day. That's a good tip. Well, here are some more tips for you. Well, I'm sure you would agree with me that we've had a truly interesting day. We started in Piri, where we met the Etsu of Piri. We met the wonderful community that is Piri, and we came back to town and we learned all about how to take better care of our skin. But don't forget, as our dermatologist, Dr. Hilda, said, that the skin is the largest organ and that everything we apply to it is medication. So everything in moderation. Let's take very good care of our skin, and I hope that I showed you 1 or 2 ways that you can do that. This is the end of our program today. I hope you had a wonderful time with me. As always, I am Maimuna Ummi Ibrahim. Tune in, same time, same station.
The vaccine offers hope for a safe country free of coronavirus. I urge all state governments, traditional and religious leaders to take the lead in the mobilization effort within their environment and spheres of influence. I similarly urge all eligible Nigerians to present themselves and be vaccinated in accordance with the order of priority already mapped out at the various authorized designated centers only.
There is an epidemic affecting individuals in every community, regardless of age, economic status, gender, race, religion, or nationality. It is called domestic violence. It can take a number of forms, including physical, verbal, emotional, economic, religious, or sexual abuse. The ultimate aim of domestic violence is to gain and maintain total control over its victim. Domestic violence does not discriminate. It happens among people of all ages, ethnic background, and economic levels. While women are more commonly victimized, men are also abused, especially verbally and emotionally, although sometimes even physically as well. Unfortunately, domestic violence is among the most underreported crimes worldwide for both men and women. An abuser doesn't play fair. He or she uses fear, guilt, shame, and intimidation to wear down his or her victims and keep them perpetually under his or her control. Abusers may often seem wonderful and perfect initially, but gradually become more aggressive and controlling as the relationship continues. Here are some signs of abusive tendencies: showing jealousy of the victim's family and friends, accusing victim of cheating, controlling who the victim sees, where they go, or what they do, preventing the victim from making his or her own decision, intimidating the victim with guns, knives, or other weapons. Noticing and acknowledging the signs of an abusive relationship is the first step to ending it. Therefore, abusive behavior is never acceptable, whether it is coming from a man or a woman, a teenager or an older adult. We all deserve to be valued, respected, and safe.
Information is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the YouReport link. And be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app. Your access to real-time information.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you in your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs, and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview UK channel 264, or you can download www.visiontv.co.uk. App for iOS or Android. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
I never get this kind of thing, or I hear it. Abuja Intra-Projects Agency then called me because we are partner with them. They say you should come. There is a survivor fund that the government wanted to give technicians.
They capture everybody, including food seller in my own workshop.
When my chairman called me that there is palliative something, that I should come and take my cash off, the money now come, and that money helped me a lot. As a widow, where there is no husband. So it's this thing that I used to help myself, and that money helped me and pay some of my children's school fees.
President Buhari strongly condemns attack on Benue State Governor, asks for thorough investigation.
The entire 417 hectares cannot support rice in totality. So about half of that land can actually support both lowland and upland rice.
Federal government begins implementation of land clearing program.
Lagos State government to provide green rail line and airport at free trade zones.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall discuss leadership deficit and governance challenges in Nigeria.
Leadership is a critical element at all levels of governance, whether local, state, or federal.
That's right. Nadabo, leadership determines to a large extent the success or failure of governmental or non-governmental organizations, including businesses.
And truly speaking, little wonder that efforts are always being made by critical stakeholders to recruit or train people aspiring for leadership at all levels. Kinsley?
That's right. This is in recognition of the role leadership plays in driving the objectives or development agenda in a society or in an organization.
But over the years, some people ascend leadership positions without having such requisite skills and experience to pilot the affairs of such organizations or communities, thereby leading to misplaced priority in development programs.
You're quite right, Nadabo. And of course, this challenge in leadership usually reflects in the way problems are apprehended and decisions taken as well as managed, and the consequences we often find on the negative impact on society.
And so how should people be prepared for leadership positions in Nigeria? At which stage is it proper to start grooming people for leadership? Are leaders really born, or can they be made through mentorship and training? What kinds of skills are required for good leadership? I am Yusuf Nadabusuman. Thank you for joining us on Good Morning Nigeria today.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo. I join my colleague Nadabo to also welcome you to this edition of the program, reaching you as always live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. We'll have our complimentary segments in the course of the program, and these segments include newspaper review, business, and others. For now, let's join Nolile Belame for the highlights of the morning news. Good morning, Nolile.
Good morning, Kingsley and Nadabo. Good morning, Nigeria. Here is the morning news. President Muhammadu Buhari strongly condemns the gun attack on Samuel Otom, the governor of Benue State, saying that the string of brutal attacks on individuals and communities in the state, with the latest one targeting the governor, are unacceptable. The president welcomes the dispatch from the headquarters in Abuja of a high-level team of crack investigators to the state and urged the police to uncover who or whatsoever is behind the attacks and bring them to justice. The president directed the police to undertake a thorough investigation into the incident involving the governor and into all such incidents affecting individuals and communities in the state. In expressing his sympathies and that of the government of the Federation to Governor Otom and the government and people of the state, President Buhari urged that this unfortunate incident must not be politicized. He further reiterated that an attack on one Nigeria is an attack on all Nigerians. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Police Force has ordered full-scale investigations into the circumstances surrounding the reported attempted attack on the life of the governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom, at his farm in the outskirts of Makurdi. The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has directed the Commissioner of Police, Benue State Command, to take adequate measures to strengthen security in the state, as well as carry out thorough investigations into the incident. Away from security, a group of maritime stakeholders is calling on the federal government to intervene in the prompt deployment of the floating dry dock, as the facility acquired by Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, 3 years ago, is rusting away. The key players believe if promptly deployed, the floating dock will generate millions of jobs.
NPA, MD, that by the end of July, we should be able to move that floating dock and put it into use. And that will generate
Lagos State government has finalized modalities to complement infrastructure at the free trade zones with green rail line and airport in Ekpe, axis of the state. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu made this known after a two-day tour of facilities at the free trade zones in Lekki.
Into Ekpe, which is a 6-lane highway, right? Part of our conversation is to also be able to dualize the road from Eleko up until all of them here.
We will work with the government and actually even do more than their own expectations. And I can assure you this place will be the hub of industrialization in the country going forward.
We also believe that it's going to also become a game changer in a way that we have not witnessed before.
The Buhari Media Organization, BMO, is urging Nigerians to trust President Muhammadu Buhari's decision to rehabilitate one of the nation's ailing refineries. In a statement, BMO says the $1.5 billion investment in the Port Harcourt refinery is undoubtedly a lot of money that will be well spent. It emphasized that the government has a track record for transparency and accountability, hence its intention to transform the hemorrhaging asset into an active production hive. It says by sheer size, outlay and product line, the Port Harcourt refinery can become a game changer after rehabilitation. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture has commenced the execution of its land clearing program designed to open up more lands for crop production. More than 1 million hectares are expected to be added to areas under cultivation nationwide.
417 hectares cannot support rice in totality. So about half of that land can actually support both lowland and upland rice.
COVID-19 infection has continued its downward trend as Nigeria records 86 new cases Sunday. In a figure released by NCDC, the new infections were from 6 states and the FCT. The FCT has the highest with 33 new infections, followed by Lagos with 28. Ondo has 11, Kano 7, Akwa Ibom and Rivers states have 3 new cases each, while Kaduna has 1 new infection. Nigeria now has 161,737 confirmed cases of COVID-19, out of which 147,899 were discharged, while 2,030 patients unfortunately died. And that's the morning news for now. The program continues with Nadabo and Kinsley. I'm Nolene Ebel Ame. Good morning.
Dear customer, link your Airtel number to your national identification number today. Here are easy ways you can do it. Dial *121*1# on your Airtel line and follow the prompts on the screen. Type in your 11-digit government-approved NIN number. You will receive a confirmation message to confirm your entry. You can also visit www.airtel.com.ng/NIN to link your phone number to your NIN. If you do not know your NIN, simply dial *346# to get it. No stress, no wahala.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Helen Paul. Hello, madam.
Would you like to join us on this mission?
Yes, but how?
Just one question for you. How do you keep your toilet clean?
I use regular detergent and bleach for washing and removing yellow stains. I have been using it for years.
Oh, madam, the regular detergents and bleach are used for washing clothes. To disinfect your toilet properly, you need Harpic 10X. It is specially made for germs and stains remover. Harpic sticker formula settles on stains and gives 10 times better cleaning compared to regular detergent and bleach.
Wow, now I'm convinced, Helen Paul.
Really?
Yeah.
Now that she's part of the mission, the next house is yours.
You don't wait for life. You go to meet life. It's not about how many chances you get. It's what you do with what you've got. Cup after cup. Morning after morning. Start strong. Finish strong. It all starts with a Nescafe.
One passenger. Big auntie. Come and enter my bus now.
Hey, conductor, this cough is serious. I beg, you need to go to the hospital.
Hospital? Auntie, if I go hospital now with this cough, those people will just say I have COVID-19.
No, they won't. Doctors say cough symptoms are different in every condition. Some are dry, others are wet, like your own.
God bless you, auntie. I have told this my conductor. The cough has refused to go, and it could be tuberculosis.
Conductor, check am o. Make you dey sure, because who no go? No go, no.
Check that cough for tuberculosis.
Check 'em all, make you dey sure.
If your cough is more than 2 weeks, it could be tuberculosis. TB tests and TB treatment are free. Just call the National TB Hotline on 3340 for information on where to get the test. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Health with support from the American people.
The vaccine offers hope for a safe country free of coronavirus. I urge all state governments, traditional and religious leaders to take the lead in the mobilization effort within their environment and spheres of influence. I similarly urge all eligible Nigerians to present themselves and be vaccinated in accordance with the order of priority already mapped out at the various authorized designated centers only.
My culture preaches peace. My culture preaches peace. My culture preaches peace. 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 My culture preaches peace.
Even our religion
Preaches peace.
If our culture preaches peace, remember your culture. Use your voter's card. Vote peacefully
And wisely. We are one.
This message is from the National Council for Arts and Culture.
This is Good Morning Nigeria, reaching you from the Nigerian Television Authority. And of course, this morning we shall be talking about leadership deficit and governance challenges in Nigeria. Well, let's go into the business world and then where industry players laud government's renewed efforts to boost the nation's economy. Details of this and other stories on business with Comfort Amadou.
The Governor, Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, while playing host to the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, reaffirmed that Nigeria requires an opportunity to reset and diversify our economy, especially in the areas of trade and export. Commending the strategy of the Apex Bank to boost the nation's economy, key industry players say the drive to protect local industries and creating of additional jobs and employment is pertinent to the growth and development of the Nigerian economy.
If you look at what government must do, you would understand that government, in a time where the purchasing power is really low, lack of movement and industries and business are struggling, government should be the central figure in not only providing finances, but providing enabling business environment. In not only doing that, but opening up new markets, but providing the basic infrastructure necessary to what? To create access to market from the rural area to urban market.
At the end of the trading session on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange for the week ended March 19, 2021, a total turnover of 2.342 billion shares worth 19.272 billion naira in 20,173 deals were traded, worth 19.272 billion naira in 20,173 deals were traded by investors on the floor of the exchange. In spite of the positive performance in some segments of the market, the professor of capital market Uche Uwalike says uncertainties are still prevailing in the microeconomic level.
The natural thing to expect is that the MPC would increase the monetary policy rate, for example, because of the spike in inflation rate. But that may not happen again because of the fact that economic recovery is still weak. And because the central bank would want to continue to support economic recovery, it may not want to increase rates. And of course, it can't afford to reduce rates because of the pressure in the forex market, the high rate of inflation. So the best it will do, and I want to predict that the best it will do by the time they meet will be to also hold rates.
With Business News, Comfort Amadou.
Thank you, Comfort Amadou, for the business package. Next is newspaper review.
As usual, Bayo Atoyabi is here. You're welcome, Bayo.
Thank you, Nadabo. Good morning. Good morning, Kingsley.
Good morning.
Good morning, Nigeria.
That's right.
Yeah. Kingsley, let's get started.
Okay.
Have a Daily Trust there.
Daily Trust has below the nameplate the following headlines. 2023, which is the kicker. Presidency must return to South, and that's attributed to Obaseki, who is governor of Edo State. Northwest states drag on pension scheme 17 years after. Northwest states drag on pension scheme 17 years after. Let's not politicize attack on Otom, that's attributed to President Buhari, with details on page 12. Over 60 million Nigerians risk water-related diseases. That's on World Water Day today. Many rely on streams and boreholes, and indiscriminate sinking of boreholes dangerous, experts warn. And that's a photograph there showing some women scooping water from a watering hole somewhere in Dangba. That's one of the locations around the Federal Capital Territory. Nigeria's corporate existence under threat, that's according to northern governors. Passengers stranded as Aero's Kano Lagos flight suffers bird strike. Senate probes finance ministry over 2.77 billion naira service-wide vote. Militants order oil companies to vacate Akwa Ibom.
And of course, the Nation newspaper, we have some few stories here. At the top, we have a story on page 6. Plateau to beef up security in schools. State to hire 2,000, I guess 2,000 staff for that. And then NDLES uses 200 kilograms of hard drugs, that is at Abuja, Kano airports, and get details of that on page 2. Stock exchange goes tough on investors. Details on page 17 down to 24. And South governors under fire over insecurity. Get more on that on page 5. The big story, or the main story here, is rage over attack on autumn. And the writer goes as such: Buhari orders investigation, Nigeria on life support, says governor. And some more we can add about that. What they said NGF says it is an attack on governors. PDP says hold the federal government responsible. APC says don't politicize insecurity. And IG sends crack squad to Benue. Tambo says banditry and an invitation to anarchy. And more of this, you get it on page 4. Down below the Nation newspaper on the front page, you have CBN disburses 149.2 billion naira COVID-19 loans to households, and details on page 4. Gawam pushes for rotational president. It is, the writer there is that it is South town, says Obaseki. Details of that on page 4. And finally, 600 trained in community policing in Adamawa, Toraba, page 6. KB police get 10 vehicles on page 6. Both and all are from the Nation's newspaper. Bayo?
Nadabu, thank you very much. Let's start with the story that broke on Saturday, where Governor Samuel Ortom reported that his convoy was attacked and there was an attempt on him. The governor said he had to run for 1.5 kilometers to safety. He praised God for giving him the strength to be able to run away from the assailants. The People's Democratic Party has asked for an immediate manhunt and prosecution of the assailant. Kolo Ologwadia says that the assassination attempt is coming for the outspokenness of the governor. He has called on the federal government to leap to the protection of life and property, and he enjoyed Governor Ortom not to be deterred from being outspoken. Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, says that the governor of Benue is assassinated, there might be civil war. Former Senate President David Mark was circumspect, and in his own reaction, he urged security operatives to step up the challenge to secure lives and property. If a governor could be so brazenly attacked, the situation may compel citizens to resolve to self-help. The consequences of such, he says, can be catastrophic. Meanwhile, Governor Samuel Ortom blames Fulani herdsmen for the attack. However, the president of Miyetti Allah, Abdullahi Badejo, says the governor lied. We don't know anything about the attack. He says that the governor is against them because they sued him in court because he imposed an anti-grazing law, and that is why he is persistently anti-Miyetti Allah. The Governors Forum has also reacted, so also is the Northern Governors Forum. They say that the situation is disturbing and this development must be investigated. The PDP Governors Forum also says that this is an invitation to anarchy and criminality should not be politicized. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police has directed the Commissioner of Police, Audu Madaki, to beef up security around the person of Governor Ortom. Specialized investigation team has been sent to Benue to follow up on that. Meanwhile, 3 persons were shot dead during a by-election that took place at Omo Ekiti. Among the casualties are feared to be a police personnel and an NYC electoral officer. Ekiti Police Command is reported to have arrested 3 persons. INEC has suspended the election, and the governor, Kayode Fayemi, while visiting the Olumo of Omo, Oba Noah Omani-Igbenyin, said that the perpetrators will be dealt with according to the law to serve as a deterrent to political talks. The governor said, I spoke with the Senator Abiodun Olujimi. I called the Commissioner of Police and instructed him to arrest the perpetrators. I'm happy to report that, to inform KBSC that the CP says that the culprits have been arrested. On Monday, they will be charged for murder in the courts. He said, we will not politicize the killing of innocent citizens during the by-election in the state. The Oba called for the prosecution of the criminals. Meanwhile, Mustafa Ibrahim of the Department of Mass Communication, University of Maiduguri, has pleaded with the federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Nigerian universities to consider the situation of Nigerian students. He says, ASU, please don't go on strike again. He says he is worried because the ASU has given indication by 25th of March they could go back on their strike. And he says that, I want both parties to note that many students have dropped out of school while others completely lost hope after staying at home for almost 1 year. ASU and federal government should not be agents that will be destroying the future of Nigerian youth. Nigeria needs productive youth, and the only places where they could be molded is in the university. Please, federal government, please look at ASU's demand and fulfill them. ASU, please give concessions in the interest of your students and Nigeria.
The students are talking passionately about this thing, really.
That's right. I mean, you're just, let's just hope that reason will prevail. We've talked about these incessant industrial actions on our campuses and indeed elsewhere in the labor sector, where workers often do not exhaust the requisite processes and procedures, and then they embark on strike. And of course, government has also been blamed. Indeed, we took it as a topic for conversation on Good Morning Nigeria, and we do hope that recommendations that were raised on those occasions that we discussed it, those ones will be followed up. But the more serious issues, Notable and Bayo, the attack on Governor Tom, minus the political interpretations, the attack does highlight the level of insecurity that the country is dealing with at the moment. For persons to have ambushed the governor tells you that they're devils. Devil may care. So strike at him, and probably there might be no repercussions, or if they anticipated the repercussions, then they themselves might have been sufficiently fortified to withstand whatever repercussions there might be. So it just goes to show that we have to face the insecurity very squarely in all parts of the country. It's good news that the governor was unhurt, but of course it was some traumatic experience for him, having to run for a kilometer and a half, I said, which is also good news that he's fit. And so his brother governors should also learn to be fit. You never can tell when the circumstance might arise. Not necessarily that of insecurity.
Well, your fitness could be a saving grace.
Absolutely.
There's this other sad story. 6 young persons suspected to be internet fraudsters have died while celebrating their new car. They had bought a Lexus GX460. The 6 were alleged Yahoo boys were killed when they rammed that new vehicle into a stationary truck. Information has it that they were suspected to be under influence of some substances. The 6 reportedly died on the spot.
Unfortunately, yes. The part of the report indicated that they were engaged in some competition. You know, sometimes you want to use a vehicle that is not designed as a race car for racing on the highway, and in those small hours of the night, and after you had been partying in a discotheque. 8 p.m. Yeah, I mean, the risks were always there. It's unfortunate. Which reminds me, I watched a video some time ago, and I felt very reluctant to comment on that video. There was a young man. This wasn't a skit. It wasn't some Nollywood or so. This guy just parked his vehicle in the middle of the road, came out, and the next thing he was asking...
He was distributing money?
No, he wasn't distributing money. He said, "Where's my share? Where's my share? Where's my share? Where's my share?" Kicked off his shoes, "Where's my share? Where's my share?" Tore off his shirt, and he was walking up and down until, of course, people were watching him. I think some road traffic wardens eventually apprehended him, and then, of course, nobody knew what happened thereafter. Where is my share?
Apparently, he must have been under some influence. The one I saw was one distributing money, and they were said to be some of these so-called Yahoo boys. And in Anambra State, Governor Willie Obiano has banned the usage of tinted glass in the state. He also has prohibited the use of vehicles with covered plate numbers. The governor says he's determined to step out criminality because they are trying to undermine the status of Anambra as the safest state in Nigeria for over 7 years.
What is happening?
Talking much about the insecurity thing.
Yes.
Within the span of 7 days.
They have attacked prison warders who were taking criminals, who were taking, well, of course, defendants to the court. They have kidnapped. A lawyer was among those persons who was kidnapped. The lawyer was murdered. It was of the law class of 97. They have attacked police stations, razed police stations. Also, I think that is happening in Imo State or some other location. Just what is happening in the space of some weeks.
Within the span of maybe 1 or 2 weeks, all these things are happening. About
some
5,
madness
6, 7
that is going on there. I think that has to be stopped.
I think the security need to be beefed so much, and it's spreading all over. I don't know. It's taking a toll on Nigeria.
And for COVID-19 now, well, the cases are dropping. We have 86 cases. But far away in South Africa is to sell is 1 million doses of AstraZeneca vaccine. This, according to them, they are selling it to 14 other countries because they have found that the AstraZeneca is less effective with the South African strain of the COVID-19. And they have now ordered for Johnson & Johnson and as well as the Moderna as a substitute. Already, as many as 183,000 has been vaccinated. The target
we know that we will come to COVID-19, but that's
we have an editorial here. That's talking about the two great Nigerians who are there and, the Grammy.
That's right, Bayo. Yeah. That's the editorial from the Punch.
Well, yes. Incidentally, that was the editorial we reviewed on last Friday. And it is concerning Damini Ebuluwa Ogulu as well as Ayodeji Ibrahim Balogun. I'm sure you'll be wondering who are these, because they are better known. The other is better known as Bruna Boy, and the other as Wizkid. And we must commend them for elevating Nigerian music once more onto the world stage. But Nigerian music had ever been very prominent on the world stage. And this is another feather in the cap of Nigerian creativity and our young artists. However, the editorial had emphasized the fact that they are now breaking through what has been the smokescreen of white supremacy. And therefore, Black Lives Matter is now taking effect because people are being recognized for their talent and their worth, not for the color of their skin.
And for much ever, black music ever mattered. It mattered all the while in history.
It's always mattered. But there is some special thing I would like to say about one of the Grammy winners, Burna Boy. He's the grandson of a renowned broadcaster, Benson Idonije. Okay. Benson Idonije, it was NBC, that's Nigeria Broadcasting Corporation, which later became Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, then Radio Nigeria. Benson Idonije himself was a music presenter, music critic, and also a music writer. He wrote on jazz for many years, and most significantly, Benson Idonije, his grandfather, was the manager of Fela and Nicolas Bokuti from 1963 until 1974.
So music has been flowing in the blood.
It's been flowing in the blood. I called up Benson Idonije last week, and I said, congratulations, sir. He's a senior citizen now in his 80s.
And of course, congratulations to all those guys out there and to all musicians and Nigerians indeed.
And to the others, more grease to their, more power to their elbow.
Much more ready.
Or to their vocal cords.
All right, Baya TV, we appreciate your being around
Thank you
today. We'll see you again tomorrow. Okay, it's Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. We're taking a short break now. When we return, we'll be dealing with a matter that is obviously quite serious, and that is leadership deficits and governance challenges in our country.
Airtel is saying thank you to all loyal customers in the Airtel Thanks Cash Token Rewards. Each subscriber stands a chance to win up to 100 million naira every week. To opt in, dial *479# and follow the prompts. To qualify, simply recharge your Airtel number. Each cash token gets you an 8 naira instant cash back, plus a chance to win up to 100 million naira weekly in the National Cash Token Draw, showing every Saturday by 9:30 p.m. on AIT and 8 p.m. on Pop Central DSTV channel 189. All transactions done on *479# are rewarded with more cash tokens, and you can also check your cash token balance via the same code. Only loyal customers of the smartphone network are entitled to the Airtel Cash Token Reward. For more information, simply dial *479# or visit www.airtelthanks.ng. Terms and conditions apply.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Helen Paul! Hello, madam. Would you like to join us on this mission?
Yes, but how?
Just one question for you. How do you keep your toilet clean?
I use regular detergent and bleach for washing and removing yellow stains. I have been using it for years.
Oh, madam, the regular detergents and bleach are used for washing clothes. To disinfect your toilet properly, you need Harpic 10X. It is specially made for germs and stains remover. Harpic sticker formula settles on stains and gives 10 times better cleaning compared to regular detergent and bleach.
Wow! Now I'm convinced, Helen Paul.
Really?
Yeah.
Now that she's part of the mission, the next house is yours.
When times are tough, we know that as a mother, one thing you should never compromise on is your family's oral health, because they deserve the best. Oral-B all-round protection. It's great value. It protects your mouth from harmful bacteria and also protects you against tooth holes and gum problems which can lead to tooth loss. It strengthens your family's teeth and gives them all-round protection. So remember, protect their future. Oral-B for healthier, stronger teeth in just 1 week.
This vaccine is safe and it has been certified safe and usable by NAFTA.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria, and the topic today, a very serious one I must say, is leadership deficit and governance challenges in Nigeria. And to begin our conversation on this subject, let's take this background report put together by Oyemi Ajayi.
Leadership is the action of leading a group of people or an organization. The position is one many aspire to get to, as it puts one in control of the affairs of a particular group, governmental organization, or at different levels of governance, and most times, final authority depends on the leader. Many have talked about the essential qualities of a great leader, which includes clarity of vision, accurate decisiveness, good courage, passion, and importantly, high humility on the job. In Nigeria today, many leaders are said to lack some, if not all of these qualities, and this affects those being led or workers. Some have risen to the leadership position by favoritism, as well as without any trace of being a leader, which includes training or mentorship. Some institutions and organizations are said to have failed due to lack of a good leader who is meant to be a model to the staff, but most of them are just after the gains and rewards. That is why once the so-called leader leaves, the institution tends to collapse. Leaders are expected to teach or mentor their subordinates because they have the chart of growth of the organization, and this means that they must lead the way. But rather, what we have today seems to be the other way around. As much as everyone assumes the peak of their jobs or careers, or assume the leadership positions, what is the best approach of leadership? And how best can one prepare for the leadership position? These are some of many questions guests on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria will be answering now.
Yes, indeed. Oyemi Ajayi, we have guests already with us here in the studios as well as joining us via Zoom for this conversation. First, let's welcome the former governor of Kano State, also a former minister of education, and now a Senator of the Federal Republic, His Excellency Ibrahim Shekarau. Pleasure to have you with us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Also here with us in the studios is our regular guest, but currently on national assignment, Professor Sam Ego. He's a political scientist and also the resident electoral commissioner in charge of Niger State. Prof, delighted to have you with us this morning.
Thank you, and good morning.
And another regular guest on Good Morning Nigeria is Dr. Otive Igbuzo. He was until recently the Executive Director of Africa Center for Leadership Strategy and Development, and his current assignment is as Chief of Staff to the Deputy Senate President. Dr. Igbuzo, delighted to have you with us this morning.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
And joining us via Zoom is Professor Kolapo Olushola Eleke, former Deputy Governor Ekiti State. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning, dear Saturn.
And also from Port Harcourt studio, our studio in Port Harcourt is Comrade Akoshile Mukhtar, the Vice President, North Central National Youth Council of Nigeria. Good to have you on the program, Akoshile.
Nigerians, good morning, viewers.
Right.
All right. Gentlemen, pleasure once again to have you join us. Now, a common topic of conversation these days has to do with the nexus between what is referred to as leadership deficit and the governance challenges that the country is experiencing. And commentators are saying, look, we have to look beyond the symptoms that we are seeing, whether in terms of insecurity, whether in terms of the parlor state of infrastructure and the general state of well-being of Nigerians, and look more into the leadership aspect of it. And leadership will include preparation for it, recruitment, and the kind of persons who then get into positions of authority and what they do when they are in those positions of authority. So, gentlemen, this is a broad-based conversation, but let's begin by tackling it. And I want to go to Dr. Otive Igbuzo, who, of course, is a specialist on leadership issues, to begin this conversation. Are we in a crisis of leadership in all facets in our country, and therefore the misgovernance that we experience from time to time could be attributes of this leadership deficit?
Definitely we are. We have a leadership crisis, not only in Nigeria, but across the world. In fact, leadership scholars have argued that there are many followers, supervisors, and managers, but very few leaders. When you come to our climb in Nigeria, the crisis is more in the political leadership sector. Because if you look at it, because leadership is at all levels. Leadership is basically influence. Your ability to influence others to follow you willingly without compulsion. People to be able to follow you either because of your position or because of the production or because of empowerment that you do or because you have affected their lives or because of the highest level of leadership, what we call personhood, what you represent, and people follow you. The difference between leadership and managers and management is that in leadership, people follow you willingly. It's a question of inspiration. It's a question of influence. It's not a question of management or punishment. But what you see in our climb is that in various sectors, there are leaders. There are leaders in the civil society sector. There are religious leaders. There are leaders in academic. There are leaders in business. You will see that in our own climb, leadership in all the other sectors have performed better than leadership in the political sector. And it's also because of our own history and experience. And what you see today is that that deficit is caused by a lot of factors. You know, the challenge with our analysis in Nigeria is that many people always look for monocausal issue. Look at one thing that caused the leadership deficit. No, it's a series of factors. You can locate it in our history. You can locate it in the military intervention, which changed the trajectory of leadership in the country. You recall a time where, for you to be a leader in your community, you have to be recognized by the military leadership in Abuja. And that changed the dynamics. And then also the strategic error that was made by activists in 1999 by refusing to participate in politics, which threw up a kind of leaders, who have dominated the scene till today. And the fact that not only in Nigeria, but across the world, people have not given leadership the importance that it deserves. Because from history and from leadership studies, we know that leaders are not necessarily born. That leaders can be trained, they can be groomed through a process. But you see across the country, there are organizational leadership centers by government. There are many non-governmental organizations that have leadership in their name. But if you go to the content of their work, there are no serious leadership training programs that are meant to groom leaders to know the skills required for leadership, the leadership styles. How can somebody be an effective leader? What are the leadership imperatives for any organization? You don't see them. And there is no serious procedure of mentoring. And given the environment that the politics is operating, in normal climate, you see the topmost person occupying the topmost leadership. If you look, for instance, what Lee Kuan Yew did, they will put a process in place. Even when there are competent old people, they bring new people to understudy them, and they go gradually. You give them the work, you watch them, you monitor them, you give them feedback, and gradually they go into the leadership process. But what we have seen is that people emulate what they see. And in the political terrain, you've seen that there are a certain kind of people that get interested in politics. That's why some of us, when we got interested in politics, people thought that something is wrong with us. Or either that you are now mad, or, you have decided to go and steal like other people. And so, when you are in government, everybody thinks you are a thief. And that environment reproduces itself so that both leaders and citizens now fulfill a negative prophecy in the leadership terrain. So that's why we have this leadership deficit. And I think that the beauty, though, is that what needs to be done to change the deficit is known. Whether in terms of leadership, grooming, or process of preparing leaders, or even in terms of policies that can change the dynamics of the country. 30 years ago, we were in the policy circle. People were not clear about how to move people out of poverty. But China demonstrated that in 15 years, they moved 730 million people out of poverty through enlightened leadership, pressure from below, and social protection policies. India moved 170 million people out of poverty through enlightened leadership, pressure from below, and social protection policies. So my own take is that despite the challenges of leadership, especially political leadership in this country, there is hope. Because increasingly, knowledge is being democratized. And I'm very confident that even if not our time, not our children's time, our grandchildren will not take the rubbish that is going on in the country.
All right, but so we have to deal with it here and now.
Yeah, sure, right here. And that's a fact here.
Part of the challenge.
That's part of the challenge.
There's no magic bullet.
Yes.
It's a process.
It should start from somewhere, really.
Yeah, sure.
And of course, given the fact that you've mentioned a point that really strikes a note, and that's talking about, leadership is not as bad as it is in other sectors that it is in the political circle. Senator Shekaro, I don't know whether you accept that as a politician and whether you could just throw more light on that. Is it true that when we look at leadership deficit and, of course, the challenges of governance in Nigeria, it's much more pronounced in the political circle than other sectors?
Well, thank you very much. I must say I totally agree with the last speaker. Most of what he has said is quite true and is the reality on ground. We really have deficit in leadership, particularly in the political sector, in terms of what you call the elected people. You see, as a teacher and my background in guidance counseling, you hardly can improve or change and effectively supervise what you don't understand and what you don't know. This is a fact. In fact, you'll end up doing more harm than even good when you attempt to change what you don't understand. The recruitment process is seriously very faulty in the process. These days, with all due respect to all colleagues in the political arena, you see all kinds of characters think that you can just come overnight and be governor, be president, be chairman of the local government, be a legislator, be it at state or a federal level. Most of such people do not even understand what they are going to do. I remember in the early 80s when one of the gubernatorial candidates in Kano, the one that was popularly called Fire, Sabo Bakinzo. Of course, we all know he didn't go through the school system. I think he hasn't anything beyond the secondary education, whatever, or adult education. Some media men approached him and said, you want to be governor, but you have not been to school. He said, what's the problem? Is it not just a question of every morning I say, go and construct road there, go and drill borehole there? Because that is the craze. And the militarization of the system, the dictatorship has also contributed to it. As he said, the military intervention, you send very young military people who knew nothing, of course, apart from their regimentation in the barracks. And we still have this hangover of dictatorship. People being elected as a governor. I remember when I got elected in 2003, 2-3 weeks after my coming into office, a former governor, or rather a governor who had served one time before I came, the group of the 1999, came into my office. I said, Governor, let me remind you, you are the chief executive. Everything stops at your table. So don't give any chance to any idiot. I mean, you see, this. He didn't know that I've gone through all this process. So many years, manage resources, manage human beings, and fortunately we've gone through the process. This is the kind of thinking. This is somebody that I know had never headed any sector or any department. Through the political arrangement, he found himself as a candidate and he won and became a governor and feels that he knows it all. This is part of the problem. And the recruitment process of getting, as the last speaker said, we have very experienced, exposed, talented people in many other sectors. But many people stay away. You see, one clergyman said, the only thing evil requires to thrive is for the good to keep quiet or refuse to participate. So we need more and more of experienced people. My understanding is that it's a very serious challenge to the political parties. And we have problems not even in the elective offices, even in the leadership of the parties, with all due respect. That's where, and I always argue, if you don't get it right in the leadership of the party, forget it in all the rest elective offices. Because it is the leadership of the party that eventually decides the rules, and so on. A lot of corruption is there. It's not hidden. In some places, it's a question of the highest bidder, who is the godfather, who is standing in for you, how much money you share out. nobody will be talking of the antecedents. Of course, there were some few exceptions. I must say, with all sense of modesty, we came in. Today, if you are to contest, I was watching one of the TV programs, and somebody was saying, if you don't have some billions behind you, you can't think of becoming a governor. I think that is very stupid. That is wrong. From the day I joined politics, 2002, and became the governor of Kano, 2003, I've never had anything close to 500,000 in my bag. You see, because of the goodwill, for the whole one-year contest, I never used 1 naira to even print my poster. People were coming. I had to leave some bunch of passport photographs at home. They will take, and then they will bring in cartons of that. So I think it is the recruitment process, and unfortunately, as my mentor, Professor Bas Fafon, always argue, if you jump into a ditch and you allow yourself to jump into that ditch, it will take you, only one jump will take you there. So several hundreds of jumps may not bring you out. That does not mean hope is lost. But I think we must remind ourselves that more and more of good people, capable, experienced, must come into this arena and participate. Otherwise, the vision is not there. If you don't understand what you're going to do, and I assure you, parties, of course, write manifestos that I've always argued. I will not be surprised if today you get an elected person, either a legislator or chief executive, or either president or governor, who have never read cover to cover their party manifestos. That's the challenge. So it's not just a question of having it in the books, on the papers. There are beautiful manifestos, vision, and the parties will write beautifully in their manifestos. But if you are going to carry out research today, you find that 90% of the governments are not implementing. What they are doing is completely different from what their parties have written as manifestos. And it's not just manifestos may give you a vision. Say, for example, manifesto will say, okay, our government, our party in government will give free education. It is you, when you come into government, that will decide how do you implement free education. Or you want to do mass food production. The party manifesto will not be telling you all of this. It is the ability of the leader to recruit the right people, to get the right experiences, to now translate into action what the manifestos are saying. I've always argued that there are 4 or 5 fundamental issues for the leadership to succeed. Number one is the issue of the vision. Where do you want to go? What do you want to achieve? And this has to be identified and planned for before you even get into office. From my experience, any president or governor or legislator or whatever who waits until he gets into the office and start planning what to do, the time is not there. The bureaucratic process will not wait. The very day you step into such a responsibility, you'll be overwhelmed with protocols, courtesy calls, visitors, meetings here and there. You have to understand the moment you decide this is what you want to go into, the challenge is try to understand what is there. If you get there, what you're going to do, what are the challenges there. So you have to decide your vision when you get there. And then secondly, it's not just deciding the vision, the planning to achieve the vision. I may have the vision of free education, but I have to decide planning, how do I achieve it, what are the priorities in education, what do I give attention to, what do I do? And this you can only get when you tap from the experts assembling them. Then the issue of recruiting those who will help you to implement your plans. With all due respect, most of the appointments are political patronage, not based on the capability, the experience, the background, the antecedents of the people who are coming to do the job, and of course, serious judicious management of the little resources around. And then finally, exemplary conduct from the leaders. And this is what we are lacking. People wait to see. As the last speaker said, leadership should be able to generate confidence of the people being led willingly to understand. It's not about coercion. It's not about compelling them to do it. If you use fear just to get people to comply with your rules, with your leadership, the moment you are not there, they'll go back to zero. So I think all these things put together has given us the serious deficit that we have. And I think if we're really serious about it, the political parties, that's why I'm very much happy that INEC is now all out to amend all the laws to make sure we don't have 90-something parties, for goodness sake. Where are you carrying them to? Wasting of talents and so on. So I think we must get it right in the political party leadership, because that will now translate into ensuring that the process of getting those to contest election and be into office would be put into proper perspective, and probably you get the appropriate leadership that we require.
All right. Thank you very much, Senator Ibrahim Shakara. We'll return to you. Let's bring in now Professor Sambego. Professor Sambego, I mean, obviously, we narrowed all of this into the leadership deficit in the political sector. Because if we're to stray into leadership in the business sector, leadership in the academia, and elsewhere, it might be a bit too elaborate. But we could draw relevant examples to see the recruitment process into leadership positions, for instance, blue chip companies. How do they achieve that? Versus what we find as our experience in the political sector, where we are having, unfortunately, poor political party management. It's a topic we've discussed on this program. We're also having very dismal governance outcomes and the monetization of elective offices. So what is your conception of what's played out and what can be done?
Yeah, thank you. You know, when I advised that you start the discussion with Dr. TV, I knew exactly what I was saying, because he's done so much work on leadership. And I'm happy TV was followed by the former governor of Kano. But you did very well, because you started by painting a picture of a free-falling Nigeria. You know, it's not just about politicians. It's about the universities that are crumbling. It's about the police institution that cannot police, you know, overtaken by corruption. It's about the military, you know, which used to be, you know, an Ireland, you know, of respect in terms of, you know, following, you know, hierarchy and so on. So there are political questions everywhere, and, you know, and the consequence of that is that you can't even move freely. Nobody is secure, you know. And so all this bounces back to the whole question of the failure of leadership. I agree that, yes, if leadership failure is found in private sector, is found in the public sector, I will agree with both speakers that the most fundamental one is the failure of political leadership. But the interesting thing about political leadership is that the individual will need capacity, the individual will need vision, but the framework for leadership is already set. The Constitution is very clear, for example. You have a whole vision of our forefathers, which we translated into Chapter 2 of the Constitution. So the question of what are the goals, you know, to drive society to achieve is no more something that you need to debate. The leadership framework within a democracy tells you about the commanding role of political parties. You know, it tells you about what the legislature should do in terms of effective oversight of the executive. It tells you about the role of civil society in terms of being that soft underbelly, you know, that should, you know, push the state to do what is right and in the best interest of citizens. It also talks about the importance of accountability and citizen participation. Because if you just give power to people and in between 4 years that you have another election, everyone goes to sleep. How are you going to open that black box of politics? Because that is where accountability matters. What is it that happens that people do not know? You know? So I think we need to understand the dynamics that are driving us into this bottomless pit. It is a failure of leadership. It is a failure of leaders to build institutions. It is the failure of the leaders to observe the basic tenets of the rule of law. It is the failure of leaders to understand the context, in which people have rights, which they have to promote, defend in the course of their rulership. And it is also the failure of the fact that citizens have also not been organized to demand accountability. And I think these are the issues that we need to look at collectively.
Oh, many thanks, Professor Sam. Gentlemen, when we look at these very topics, really very wide and big, and of course, as Kingsley said, looking at it from the political point of view will give us a direction as to where we're headed. And when we look back again to the First Republic, and that is looking at the leaders started, if you like, in quotes, of the First Republic, Awos, Sardonas, and the rest of them. In my interactions with those who are around 70, 75, 80, 85, the lamentation has always been that the military has truncated, the modeling system in this country. That's looking at the situation at, who do you look up to in order to become somebody? Those were the people they were looking up to. But when the military came down, it became truncated. Professor Kolapo, you were Deputy Governor in Ekiti State. And I believe you had that office and you saw the political setting there. And of course, you really had somebody in mind who you really want to look up to and become. And you really had to mentor some other people. Do you believe in the fact that we lost the mentorship, track at the inception of during the, military interregnum, the first one for that matter in 1966?
Can you come over again, please?
Now, what I'm saying is, have we really lost the mentorship through military intervention, the first one that took place?
Sorry, hello?
Can you hear us?
He wants to refrain.
Can you hear us really? Let's communicate. Can you listen? Can you hear us talk?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Right, what I'm saying is, let me put it just straight now. Did we really lose the mentorship link through military intervention during the first military intervention in Nigeria?
Sorry, I'm having challenges. I can't hear you clearly, please.
Okay, I believe, our coach Shile Mukhtar is there waiting for us, and I guess he should. You should be, in the know of the fact that there was a military takeover then, in 1965, 66, thereabout, 66, that's the first one. And when we look at the crop of leaders in the First Republic, those were people that were, being emulated, being mentioned today, and being revered so much. Do you see that interregnum as the breakage of the link of mentorship?
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning, Nigerians, once again. Issue of leadership, as your question has demonstrated, the years you have mentioned and now are two different. We are practicing democratic system of government now, and the issue of leadership is supposed to be more pronounced in practicing democracy, because democracy allows you to freely choose your leader without any force or forceful decision. What I think we are missing here in trying to give an accurate leadership is the issue of honesty and integrity. You quite agree with me that President Muhammadu Buhari, who was also a president within the era you have mentioned, and now is also a president of Nigeria, rose to this government because he had cause to retain his integrity and his truthfulness. His Excellency, former Governor of Kano State, has said it, that you may necessarily not have to be a billionaire or a millionaire as we have now before you can vie for an elective position or a leadership position. But the integrity at which you may be able to have saved, your good name that you may be able to have saved, your courage that you may be able to have built for some year may have been a word for having a very, very good leadership in Nigeria. But let me now digress to what concerns me as a youth leader. The youth of this country needed to be assisted with capacity building if we need to build a very strong Nigeria. Because you may wish to agree with me that the greatest asset this country has is still its young people. Because if the elders, even if they do not want to live now, the natural occurrence may come which will leave the governance system to the young people. So how do we take up the leadership role? Even in our university system, I was so pathetic when I heard someone speaking about the ASUS tribe, which is about to loom again. These are also leadership decay, because if our lecturers today, tomorrow are telling us that we should go home, there's no lecture, government have not reached a consensus, then how do we want to produce an employable graduate from the university? A former minister of this country has said this sometimes recently, Samigu, that about 80% Nigerian graduates are unemployable. And one of the places that we can get a very good leadership training is in the university. Of course, if we get some from the university, we can now go outside to go to other leadership training centers, which can get us more leadership attentions. Also, in the issue of mentorship, we cannot be speaking about leadership and you'll be missing out mentorship. Mentorship has a symbiotic relationship within the mentor itself and the mentee. But nowadays we can see that young people do not really see the context of mentorship. They rather just say, I want to be like Mike Adinuka, I want to be like other prominent Nigerians, without seeing, because if you are really ready for mentorship, there must be argument. You must argue with even your mentor so as for you to have agreed on a very, very soft landing that will be beneficial to you as an individual. So leadership is a very, very wide topic. You can see some chief executives, as one of the speakers has said, in the selection process of leaders in leadership position in Nigeria is even very, very faulty. You can see that some MDA, they will bring people who do not even know anything about what they ask them to come and do. The highest thing they will do is to send them to Badagry after maybe they will have started managing a billions of Nigerian taxpayers' funds. So issues of leadership had to start from the grassroots. Where is the grassroots? The university system. Let us let us make it as one of our curriculum, because if it is not well attended to at the university level, then we may be getting it wrong when we all get to the other side of the table. You can agree with me that the young people of nowadays are also taking it very serious to equip themselves, because we are very confident that President Muhammadu Buhari will be giving more attention to young people in leadership position, and we are confident also that my colleague, the young people outside there, will not disappoint Mr. President. But we have a quite number of young people in MDAs who are doing well, and they have not disappointed. So issue of leadership is something that affects you, and even from your home, you start teaching your children how to become a good leader. When your children come, when he does something, you tell him, no, this is the right way to go, this is the wrong way to go. It's about training and getting it right. So on my perspective, leadership may have gotten it wrong if we do not pick it from the grassroots, which is the university system. The university lecturer should also be strengthening capacity building. Nigerians are missing it. It is only private sector, as one of the speakers also said, that invest in capacity building. In the university, in lecturers do not, the vice chancellor should do, I'm not sure their funds in the university system that caters for capacity building. It is only private sector because they know that when you build their workforce, they get to get more proceeds, because the effect of having a good training or a good capacity building is even more than the resources you are invested into it. So when our government focuses on capacity building for public worker, for civil servants, I'm sure the country will be better off for all of us. As I said, let us invest in the young people. Young people are the greatest asset this country have. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Akosile Mukhtar, for your comments there. Amongst other things, you did say that part of the challenge that we find with some of our young persons these days is that, fine, they want to just be like Dangote overnight, want to be like Otedola overnight, without going through the crucible. I think that's a very big one. I heard one piece of music once, on the car stereo while I was driving. It was something, I don't know who the artist is. It's something, I want to be chairman, I want to be something, chairman. You know? So, this kind of things that you hear among some of these young persons. But we understand that the Zoom connection to the former Deputy Governor of Ekiti State, Professor Kolapo Eleka, is back. Professor Eleka, if you can hear us clearly now, let's also deal with some other aspects of what the other guests have raised with regard to the challenges we find with leadership in the political space. Leadership is influence. Leadership is also management. Because if you are visioning, if you are recruiting people, if you are also channeling their productive energies to the realization of those goals, those are managerial issues. Why are we the way we are, with all kinds of issues confronting us now? And unfortunately, we don't seem to be focusing on those leadership issues that might help us resolve these things going forward.
Thank you. Well, I want to agree with the views of the other earlier speakers, the distinguished guests on this program. There is a fundamental problem, as it has been earlier raised. First of all, what is the purpose of leadership and good governance? And I think the whole thing boils down to qualitatively transforming the state and the society. Once this is not done properly, there are bound to be problems, as earlier outlined by the other speakers. Then we also have to take a look at the reason why we are here. I was talking to somebody recently. He said he wanted to come into politics. And I asked him a very simple question. Why will you want to be in politics? But I'm very glad that he gave a very good answer. He said, I've been out there outside the country, beyond the shores of this country. And what he has observed was that he has observed how to live in a better society. And he feels that if he comes into politics, that will afford him the opportunity to serve so that our society can become better. And I think this is a good intention. So many people are going to leadership without really understanding why are they going to leadership. And that's exactly why we are here. So we have this poor leadership selection process, and even the criteria set for leadership selection have been marred with a lot of irregularities. So the very moment we're able to get it right from the foundation, and I think we should be able to overcome some of these challenges. Apart from that, even the present, some of us, the present crop of leaders, we also have a challenge with insincerity. Many of us are not sincere with what we are doing. When you take a look at simple definition of leadership, leadership involves knowing what to do. Why is that thing important? And then knowing how to bring resources together so that you'll be able to achieve this particular purpose. So insincerity on the part of leaders has led us to where we are today. Somebody said Africa is plagued with bad leadership. Well, I can't but agree. It is not because in Africa, for instance, people have been saying our system is bedeviled with a lot of corruption issues. But there's corruption everywhere. But the problem we have is that, do we have institutions? Do we have the laws? And when we have the laws, are we actually implementing the laws the way it should be? Corruption are bound to happen, but How do we tackle them? Do we have stable and strong institutions that can deal decisively with issues of corruption? And where we have the laws, are we obeying the laws? These are some of the issues. So that have taken us to where we are presently. And I believe if some of these issues are properly addressed, we will definitely be able to achieve the goals of leadership and good governance. For instance, we are talking about building a just society. A just society is one which provides basic needs. It's one which ensures equal opportunities for self-development through education and gainful employment. But if the society is not just, all these issues are bound to continue to reoccur. So, are we defending as leaders the dignity of the human person? Are we taking care of the masses? Political leadership is all about the welfare of the people we are leading. But what are we doing today? No. Issues of welfare is not paramount to us as leaders. And this is one of the problems, one of the challenges. So I believe if we are sincere in actually implementing the existing laws that we already have in this country, we are going to have a better society. So when leaders become sincere, when leaders are chosen appropriately and properly, when we have people who have been properly mentored coming into leadership, then definitely we'll be able to overcome some of the current challenges we are facing, which we have summarized as leadership deficits and the challenges we are talking about in governance. Thank you.
I was wondering, Nadabo, I would like Professor Leka to give us the benefit of his experience while he was in politics. We've listened to the former governor and former minister of Education, Senator Ibrahim Shekara, who has been here. Well, we know that our politics is transactional. And some experts, including Otiva Igbuzo here, have indicated that, look, the political space has been hijacked since 1999, as it were, and those who had a foothold in there have seized the space and they are replicating their kind. But why is it that mentorship for leadership, for succession, is a major issue for us now? What kind of visioning goes on in the political space? Are politicians, as has been alleged in some cases, just concerned about the next election? And being concerned about the next election means also that you are able to dispense patronage, and nobody seems to care about the legacy. The way they define legacies are all kinds of funny things, and yet our human development indices do not quite place us where we ought to be, considering our vast resources, both human and material.
Thank you. If I'm going to share with you my experience while in government, and I think it's a very lovely one, but one of the things I've observed within the political space is the challenge of godfatherism. The challenge of godfatherism. There's a big difference between a mentor and mentee relationship and then a godfather and godson relationship. One of the things that is killing political leadership, that is destroying political leadership in this country, is godfatherism, where you put the respect of man ahead of the fear of God. If you put the fear of God first and the respect of man next, or the respect of your mentor next, then you are positioning yourself to do the right thing. So a situation where the godfather would have more or less caged the godson while in position of power, in position of authority, there's no way effective performance can be achieved. While I was in government, I want to say this, my leader, whom I also call him my mentor, Dr. Peter Yofayoshe, really gave me a free hand. He gave me specific assignments to do without looking back. I was asked to superintend over the education sector, and being given a free hand, we had excellent performance. And today, it has gone into the history of Ekiti State that during those 4-year period, Ekiti State recorded feats that have never been recorded before in that sector, in that educational sector, just because I was given free hand to operate. And I was able to bring in like minds who worked with me, who cooperated with me, and were able to achieve very great results. But unfortunately, some of the things we put in place are no more there. So there is lack of continuity of good governance also, of good policies. And it is when, as a leader, you don't really understand the reason why you're in leadership, that is when you start thinking of, well, the next election, you start thinking of yourself. And I think the most important thing is to think about the legacies we are going to leave behind. Today, I can boldly say it, and I'm proud that when I was the deputy governor of Ekiti State, I was able to superintend over the education sector, and I'm glad that the records are there, and I'm happy the legacies are there. And that is why, if you don't understand the reason why you are in leadership, if your reason is because of your own self-interest, because you want to accumulate wealth, and that is the reason why you are in leadership, then there is no way we can achieve good results in governance. However, if we know that our leadership is all about the people, if we always remember that as leaders we are change agents, we are persons whose acts will affect other people more than the people's act affect us, then we definitely will be able to achieve very excellent results. So I can't imagine somebody, because you want to go into the next election and you abandon governance just because you are thinking of winning the next election. It's not just being strategic. While you are planning for the next elections, you can also at the same time continue with the strategies that you have laid down. You are not alone there as the leader. You also have subordinates, you have people that to whom you are delegated powers. All you do to this to effectively monitor what they're doing. So I believe personally that we must have a good reason for being leadership, a good reason for being politics. If once we don't get it right from that beginning, right in our mind, then the end is bound to be failure. The end is bound to be the emergence of these deficits we have identified in leadership and in governance in Nigeria. So for me, one must have a good reason for being leadership. You must have a good reason for being political, and I think it should be for the better society and for the good of the people that we are serving.
Many thanks, Professor Kolapo there. One must have a good reason for being a leader, and of course there should be that mission and that vision in order to move ahead. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria, and of course we're discussing leadership deficit and the challenges of governance in Nigeria. We will now take a break. We'll be back with the continuation of the discussion with the star-studded, I would say, guest we have on this program this morning.
Hello, madam. Would you like to join us on this mission?
Yes, but how?
Just one question for you. How do you keep your toilet clean?
I use regular detergent and bleach for washing and removing yellow stains. I have been using it for years.
Oh, madam, the regular detergents and bleach are used for washing clothes. To disinfect your toilet properly, you need Harpic 10X. It is specially made for germs and stains remover. Harpic sticker formula settles on stains and gives 10 times better cleaning compared to regular detergent and bleach.
Wow, now I'm convinced, Helen Paul.
Really?
Yeah.
Now that she's part of the mission, the next house is yours.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth Entrepreneurship Support Years by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria, pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
I bring you wonderful news. The village headmaster is coming back to your screen. Mo wire abi mi o wire. Teacher no mo, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Teacher no mo, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Ọmọ onírẹsì ti dé.
Ajebo na better school for last gidi. Not be all this on a rugged school for Ijabi. I don't know for you.
Sega, it's called Oja Village. Kadesi. We know happy at all.
And I know that even you too, you are getting a lot of orders. Hey, we are trying, shao. Sweep her leg out. She was standing there. Sweep it.
I love you so much.
And how did I give you the impression that I was interested in that position?
50-year anniversary.
You mean anniversary?
I mean, I talk with that now.
Not for me.
Not for me because of Pamio.
Welcome back. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria. We're reaching you from the Nigerian Television Authority. This morning we're discussing leadership deficit and the challenges of governance in Nigeria. We've talked so much. We have a lot of guests in the studio here, and it's really started, really. And let me get across to Dr. Abuja, Executive Director, Africa Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development. The previous speaker, and maybe 2 or 3 of them really talked about godfatherism as one of the bane of our leadership crisis. And of course, we look at that at, something that brings about greater deficit in leadership. Because now, when there is a good father that wants his godson to be something else, the leadership qualities don't really matter now. Do you see that really as the greatest challenge of leadership in Nigeria?
Yeah, I think that as other speakers have mentioned, godfatherism is one of the greatest challenges of leadership, especially political leadership. And I think godfatherism is just a euphemism for describing all the wrong that happens with political leadership. If you look at it carefully, you will see that it's all influenced by the environment, which has been characterized by corruption, nepotism, and moral degeneration. Because godfatherism as a concept removes all the need for a leader to have followers. So because the godfather decides, and then that decision is forced down the throat of everyone. And the system has developed to a level that when a real godfather speaks, every other one keep quiet because of the likely effect of not following what the godfather says. So what we have today is that it has permeated every sector. corruption, monetization, corruption, nepotism, and moral degeneration. In the past, if you have a good program, is defined in communication faculties as newsworthy. Today, what determines what is news is what is paid for. And most times, our sensibilities are sorted by the media, promoting people who we know as scums and scam of society. The traditional systems giving chieftaincy titles to people of questionable character. The educational system giving high grades to people of questionable character. So what you see is that in such a system, there is no elaborate system of grooming of leaders based on character, competence, and courage. Because a good leader should have a head to be able to understand things, conceptual clarity, analysis. A good leader should have heart to be compassionate, connect with people, be able to have social relations, build relationship, partnership. And a good leader should be able to have guts, the courage to do what is necessary in order to bring alignment, to effectively bring about goals. But what we see is that political leadership is so important that it affects all other sectors. And today, it has affected all other sectors negatively because the type of leadership we see that is predominant in the political sector is transactional leadership, where people follow you because of what they will get from you. And it is being made complex and difficult by the environment in which people live. Many people who go to work diligently, for a full month. If they depend on only their salary, malaria will kill them. So, for them, a good leader is the one which, if my wife is pregnant and he goes to a hospital and they say he needs cesarean section and I call my leader, he sends alert. That is a good leader and a good mentor. A mentor that will say, okay, this is what you need to do in this country. You need to work hard. You need to have character. You need to be competent. You need to have value-driven, a transformational leader. People will look at you and you say, you are speaking grammar. So, with all of these challenges, what do we do? I think for me, that is the most crucial. And
that's the question really why the mark is, the crux.
Yes. And you see, it's not a magic bullet to deal with this because the whole society has been affected. Even ordinary people who ordinarily want to be good because of the exigencies of the time. Some people follow people who they don't like because that is their means of survival. So what we do first is that there's the need for reorientation of people to know that, look, and that's why I said earlier that, you see, if not our children, then our grandchildren, because we know that what is happening in the country today is not sustainable. We are going to reach a tipping point. So it is better for us to all know media, religious organizations, community organizations, private sector, to know that political leadership is very important. And Edmund Burke said, for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. Every person to take politics seriously and participate in the political process. And in that process, we will get a group of what I call development coalition. People, there are good people in this country. People who will now come together and say, look, we can't continue like this. And in most other countries, this happened with elite. I mean, at least the elite. People who at least can feed. Because before you think and engage in struggle to change society, you have to eat first. So we need to really educate the elite that they should come out from the social media to organize, to get involved in politics, and to get all the good people, because there are many good people in Nigeria, from all the sectors, to begin to spend some time on the political activities, to engage with the political activities, and then begin to organize to bring change. Like I said earlier, if you look, 30 years ago, policy science was not as developed as it is today. And we have lived through experiences of deceit. In the 1980s, we still remember their names. I will not call them. Those people who told us that structural adjustment program is what would change the entire economy. Some of us who were opposed to it said, no, this will lead to calamity. I remember the alternative, which was published by the analyst group in Zaria, showed how the country will degenerate. But today, the media still continue to promote these people. I see them on television coming as great economists.
Dr. Otima Ebuzo, thanks a lot. I mean, we all remember some of those examples you were talking about. Some of them said at the time that Coca-Cola was more expensive than petrol.
Yes. Than petrol, sure.
And therefore, the price of petrol should go up. We said, look, okay, if petrol is cheaper than Coke, shouldn't people then be drinking petrol? I remember there was a great debate at the Institute of International Affairs.
They promoted that government has no business in business. So government should not build houses. We are in Abuja here. One of the greatest problems of Abuja is accommodation. The FCT administration has been having allocation. Some years they don't know what to do about it with the allocation. They will go and destroy the welcome to Abuja and build a new one. We're all here seeing it. If they devoted that money to just building houses every year, they have the land. The land belongs to FCT. Building 1,000 houses every year in 30 years will have solved the housing problem.
All right.
There's concept of social housing. So what I'm saying is that...
Dr. Otive, yes. I will pause you because this is... we're getting an indication now from our producers that this, of course, this is the first part of this very interesting conversation. There are also a number of tweets that have come in indicating how they find the topic very interesting. But there's one aspect, that's why I said we needed to pause you, that you talked about the need for reorientation, the need for transformation. And I want to bring in Senator Ibrahim Shekarau here one more time by referencing what Professor Sabegu said. That, look, in terms of the issues we have with our leadership in the political sector, there is an existing framework, a manual which you could go to and then say to yourself, what do I need to do? There is already a vision in for it. And its typical reference had to do with Chapter 2 of the 1999 Constitution, Fundamental Principles and Directive Principles, Fundamental Objectives and Directive Principles of State Policy. What you just need to do then, you now reduce it to other aspects that are there. But earlier also, Senator Shekara, you did say that there are some in the political arena who have not read from cover to cover the manifestos of their political parties. Yeah. How do we engineer this reorientation for them to look at this? But in doing that, tell us what needs to happen to, if you like, the current players in the political space who are actually just, transactional.
Well, thank you very much. I think let me start with the issue of this word reorientation. I'm sure those who care to follow what we did in government in Kano State will recall that one of my best program and project was Societal Reorientation Program, which is popularly known in Kano in Hausa as Adegi Tesogu. Because long before I came on board to be the governor, I realized that there was need for this societal reorientation. We have to start somewhere. Even the issue of recruiting the best of people to come into politics, to go into positions, there has to be this reorientation to let them know that there is the dire need for them to come and participate. I agree the political leadership, of course leadership at all levels need to be upright, but the political leadership is the central issue because that is from, it's just like the pyramid, it trickles down. The political leadership does policies and decide laws and pass laws. Whether you like it or not, you have to comply with the laws, whether the laws are really relevant, people-oriented or not. So I quite agree. The reorientation. To begin, as I said, we have jumped into a ditch, and it is now we're trying to jump out. It will take us several jumps. I think we need to get more and more and more credible, capable, responsible people coming into this political arena. Not just because of coming to be chief executive this, chief executive that, and so on, but to come in and even participate in contributing in the discussion of what the vision should be. Of course, one person just will have to be the president. One person has to be the governor. Some few have to be in the legislature. If you put all of those being elected in Nigeria from the councillor to the president, my calculation is that we are not more than 15,000 people elected. Out of 200 million, we are talking of electing 11,000 people deciding the fate of over 200 million people. And we're not able to bring out the best of 11,000 out of all this lot. If you take the registration of voters, from INEC record, we have over 82 million responsible registered voters. But in all the elections we have had, we've never had up to 40 million people voting. We end up getting a president with 15 million votes or 16 million votes. You ended up getting the governor, a state of about 5 million people, ending up with less than a million. So our elected people, I must say, with all sense of modesty, are not representative enough. They are not really the representative of the teeming population that we have. All this reorientation, as the last speaker said, the elites will sit down in the room monitoring election and so on with their tutor, with whatever. Probably they have not gone to vote. This, I believe, will be the beginning of the change. We must mobilize our people to come out and vote. The political parties must mobilize. We've had instances where if a candidate X knows that he's not going to have the best of votes in constituency B, he will probably go and make sure that the electors don't even turn out to vote. So that he doesn't know that he's killing the entire system by disenfranchising some people to come and vote, simply because he's suspecting that they may not vote for him. So I think the beginning of the reorientation is all stakeholders, INEC, political parties, the government, the individuals, the traditional institutions, religious institutions. We must all go into the campaign of come out and vote. Even those who share money to those who are going to vote. If everybody comes out, this 82 million, if they will all be there, how much money are you going to share? You won't even have the opportunity to share the money. But when they know that it's some few, you hide in a corner, giving out 500, 1,000, 200, a small soap and so on. It's because they know it is very few that come out to vote. But when the people come out en masse to vote, no matter how much money you have, you will not be able to buy them. And in that spirit, you'll be able to get the right people in office. So these two aspects, as I said, one, the experienced people, the enlightened ones, that feel they have something to offer, should take the courage to come into the political arena. And then we must mobilize and reorient our people for them to understand the impact of right leadership in our lives.
Okay, thank you, Senator Ibrahim Shekaru. Let me briefly, hastily that is, come to Professor Egu. We have Director Stilling, so we have some few minutes left on the program. But I want you to really comment on it, what he lastly said, and that's talking about, you know, the good men coming out to be part of this electoral process, vis-a-vis the godfatherism, the money politics, and then the degeneration of values in the political space.
We need good men, but we need more than good men. We need to build firewalls around governance, and you need to bring the people, into that conversation. And that is why the question about reorientation is very critical. There are societies that have had very profound program of reorientation of their people. And those societies pass through, major political upheavals, like a revolution. The former Soviet Union, China, that we are talking about, And you even go to ideological school, right from your youth. And you are schooled in the values of the state and the values of society, We can replicate that in Nigeria, and we even have the basic rudiments. We are already clear about our national ethics and values. We have set up institutions like National Orientation Agency. But for the leadership to do this, they have to be committed to total change. And it comes close to what Amilcar Cabral will call committing class suicide. Because if you are reproducing your interests, by emphasizing those things that hold us down, then we are not going to make any progress. So we need to put the leadership on the spot. And by extension, it is the elite that is not prepared to govern. Look at the free fall of this country and what we are going through. The major issues in the newspaper is which part of the country takes the presidency. These people do not even want to confront the problem. Rather, they want to confuse the people that it is about regionalism, it's about ethnicity, and still hide behind, the division of society, not to be liable for the crime they are committing against this country. And part of that orientation is to tell the people that ethnicity, religion, regionalism, these are instruments of manipulation. The people should go beyond them. What we are looking for is somebody who can provide security, somebody who can provide education, somebody who can rally this country around good governance. It is not about our religion. What defines all of us is our humanity. The fact that we need health care. The fact that if we are hungry, we need food. It is not our religion. And in fact, people have done solidarity across ethnicities and religion around issues of humanity. This is what we have to hold them accountable to.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Prof.
much. We indicated, of course, that this is a topic we're going to return to. But let's admit some of the tweets that came in from our viewers. Mike Ayanko, this is a very interesting topic, especially in our country where people are drafted into various high positions unprepared because they are our own from our place. It's our turn. How many of our governors or local government chairmen initiated their posts?
And Taufik Olalekan says most of our leaders, especially in public sector, are ill-prepared. The benefits attached to their offices make them monsters in power and want everything becomes theirs only. We need a very good legislative act that will make seeking political leaders receive minimum wages like civil servants. It makes political power less attractive.
All right, Adeola, let's take this one from Adeola. I say good leadership must start from secondary schools with mentors that are volunteering in the communities and are educated. If not possible, a person that is well known in the communities for being open and faithful to God.
And Adeola, rather, Mike Anyako again says, apart from governments, corporate bodies duly prepare their personnel to top managing positions, we have NPs at that is a niche that is at Kuru, meant for leadership positions in armed forces, civil service, etc. Leadership preparations are essential ingredients to development.
Kamal Ladan tweets that most of the leaders claim to be good, but in the real sense, they are good in selfish interests and defending their own personal interests in public office or designated position, and there are uncountable instances in this regard.
Festus Akimboyo says the many challenges facing our country today are mainly caused by lack of good leadership in public and private sectors. Since strong leadership is key to fostering innovation, unlocking the potential of citizens, and ensure the right strategies to drive production and growth, there must be and effective investment in leadership training in governance and organizations, regardless of size, sector, or location. And that's the much we can take on the tweets this morning. We thank you so much, Nigerians, for watching this program and reacting to it. And generally, we must say very much thank you to all of you, for being part of this program this morning. It's our pleasure. As Kingsley rightly said, and as we all agreed, we're just scratching the surface of this topic. We shall keep talking about this. It's going to be a running one. And of course, we really want you to be part of it. I am Yusuf Dadabu Usman saying, we thank you so much for watching Good Morning Nigeria. And we thank you, our guests, for being part of this program. We'll see you sometime next week.
All right, I'm Kingsley Osadolo. I joined my colleague, of course, in appreciating our guests, Senator Ibrahim Shekarau, that's former governor of Kano, Otive Ibuzo, whom you saw a while ago, Professor Sam Egu, who is, of course, our regular guest, Professor Kolakbo Eleka, former deputy governor of Ekiti State, and of course, Akoshile Mukhtar, Vice President of the National Youth Council of Nigeria. Gentlemen, thanks a lot for being part of this conversation. Good Morning Nigeria returns tomorrow, same time, 7 o'clock in the morning. Until then, do take care of yourselves. Remember, Corona is still out there. Get vaccinated. I'm Kingsley Osadolo.